Hey friends, it's Julie, and today we're going to do another What's Sold video. Thank you so much for all the nice comments and welcome back and things like that. I am glad to be back too. So let's just get into it. So I'm doing this in order now of how long these things have been listed. So it's kind of interesting to see how long your listing has been on there before it sells. I'm just starting in Etsy just to do those two. I did sell out of my junk journal kit, and those were, what was it, 100 and something each. Those really nice sales. And then I am still selling 10 postcards that people can still send out. So those go in about $5 shippings. Not bad for, and I put in a lot of the postcards that I really can't sell or that are still pretty clean and pretty new. Okay, I did a couple little auctions for photos. I wasn't sure what price I'm at, and of course they only went for minimum bid, which whatever, they're out the door, and otherwise they're going to sit here for a while. So this was an interesting piece of history, though, because Jeanette Rankin was the first woman who was was in Congress, and the neat thing is this went to somebody with the last name Rankin, so that was pretty cool. And then this one, last time I mentioned that most of the postcards that I've been selling were Continental Chrome. Well, the same thing happens here. And it doesn't matter if they're US or international. I don't post every international postcard. I choose the ones. This one was an interesting subject. Alpine swimming pool. And you have people in sunbathing. So it's a little different view than normal. And this one had been listed only since June 18th. Here we have another Continental Chrome International. This was in Guam, and it went for $5.97. It had been listed since May of this year. Here's another Continental Chrome Art. I think I accepted an offer for around $7. Totally fine. Probably paid less than 50 cents for this. And I do like to find different art, things that are a little bit more abstract, interesting, that maybe not as common, although common ones do eventually go too. And this one had been in my stock since March of last year. And now we're skipping to 2023 in May. Almost a year before that one. And this is a white border postcard of a smelter in Idaho. Idaho things are kind of popular right now. Smelters are always a good subject. Maybe I had it for a little high. I don't know. But I think I got around 11 bucks for this one. A lot of three blue cats. This was this was listed May 2023, and I had two of them. I don't remember how long the first one took, but it's Christmas, and these are ready to go. These were a fun lot of postcards, these Ripley's, believe it or not, and I listed them all for around between $12 and $20, depending on the rarity of them, and they have been slowly selling. I don't know if I took an offer for this one or not, but they have been in my shop since April of 2023, over 2.5 years. Oh gosh. Another Continental Chrome, this one of Montana, one of my favorite subjects, an L.A. Huffman Miles City postcard. Some of these of the Huffmans don't go for more than $5 to $7, but this one was a little more unusual, even though the subject matter is it's not exciting. And $10 has been in my shop since March of 23. Here's another white border postcard, and it is a street view. Okay, funny thing is, I went through postcards of when I got it at an estate sale. By the way, I found a gold mine certificate at the estate sale. No, I did not strike it rich. But you never know what you can find. I was sorting through the postcards I got, and I pulled out these postcards, the street views, to not list on eBay as much because there's so many of them, and I want to try to get to more of the unusual postcards. And I have a spot in my antique vendor booth, that I put them for $2. They're out the door. I don't have to do anything else with them. Although some of these, like this one, a little bit different. Although it took since March 2023 to sell. So, I mean, it's a toss-up. Do you want things to sell right away for a cheaper price, or do you want them to sit for a long time and get a higher price? That is really the question of long tail sellers. Okay, another Continental Chrome. This one is in Barcelona, Spain. The reason why I listed this one was because of the ships in the harbor. Otherwise, it's just a pretty static view. There's not, and in these countries, European countries, not as much changes in 50 years as it does in the US because it's older. This has been in my shop since December of 2022. We have, I don't know if this is a white border or a divided back. I don't know. Anyways, it's 4th of July in Nevada City, Montana. Interesting view, 4th of July in Alder Gulch, which is one of the first places they had gold rush. Anyways, this has been my shop since December of 2022. When I go through, I do go through and go through my older listings to make sure they're still there, make sure I still want that price. But most of the time I leave alone the Montana ones because that's what I want to specialize in. We have a real photo postcard of a Flathead Lake in Montana. I probably had this for too high to sell right away. So there again is that question, if I had, should I sell these quicker turnaround? I don't know. But then you have the race to the bottom. I don't know. So let me know your thoughts below. Okay, this was listed in June of 2022. It finally sold for $947. I think that was my asking price. Another Continental Chrome postcard, and this one it sold for $10. It is a Bermuda, so it's kind of international, but then you have transportation. It also did have writing on the back, so then I could put the postmark. Sometimes that's interesting to people. I like to sometimes put on the name of the people who this was written to, but I really couldn't make out the name. Tina Del Crapo. I don't know. I don't really want to put that out there if that's not her name. So anyways, that had been in there since August 2022. We have a bridge in Clinton, Iowa. Bridges do sell, some of them more than others, of course. This was posted, and it was posted in 1918, which is kind of cool. It was Compliments of Red Cross was on the front, so I was able to put a date on it. Went for $838. I think that was at offer. It's been in my shop since June of 2022. Okay, two more. This one was a maximum postcard. I have a bunch of them listed, but they really don't go for very much, and probably because a lot of people have collected them and they don't send them out. They don't post them, so they sit in people's collections and lower the value, I think. They take a while, and I think the royals are always interesting to people, but this one had been in my shop since June of 2022. And finally, we have Montana Continental Chrome, something that I wouldn't list in my shop nowadays because it's been in there since April of 2022, which was probably near the beginning of when I started to sell, because the label number is 624. So that is pretty much in one of my first boxes now. Yeah, nowadays I would just put them in my booth for like $1 or something, $1 or $2, and let local people pick through them. Otherwise, I'm going to have tons of postcards sitting on my shelf that might sell in, 3 years? I know that some of you have postcards in your shop maybe for a lot more years, but I only have so much space that I'm dedicating to my postcards. So I want to have postcards that are a little bit better than average. That's why I did keep this one in my inventory, because it is Montana, and I already put the work into listing it, so I kept it. But now going forward, I would not be listing these on there. So that is where I'm going towards, to have more quality over quantity, but I also still need quantity. I don't know. So what is your philosophy of how you are doing your postcards? Do you do any auctions? Did you list everything? I want to have my minimum price on my postcard, $5.97. Sometimes I do go down to $4.97 like this, depending on how badly I want that Postcard in my shop, because sometimes there are some Montana cards that I know will sell fast. They're still not very valuable, but something like this sitting in my shop for 3.5 years and I only made $5 on it. Is it worth it? How much is it worth it to keep that in my inventory? I don't know. Okay, so a word about my antique booth. I am winding down on it. I am considering if I should just get a small booth just to put my ephemera in, because when I look at my sales records, most of the stuff that I sell is ephemera. And it did take me a while to get people to buy ephemera for my booth, but now, after a couple years later, most of what I sell is ephemera. So I'm thinking about just having that as a booth. Or just closing it down altogether. But either way, my main booth, my big one, is going to be downsized. I just need to go on and do something else. But if you'd like me to take you along on that journey of downsizing the booth or closing them all together, let me know. I probably will post something about it in the videos, but I don't know how much. Anyways, let me know what's selling for you and if this is helpful and what do you want me to talk about. So thanks for watching. See you the next time. Have a joyful day. Goodbye.